We talk a lot about all of the things that we should do in podcasting, but what if we decide that we don't need to do all of these specific things in order to have, run, and produce and create a successful podcast? Let's get into it. Welcome back to As It Relates to Podcasting. My name is Simona Costantini, and I run Volt Productions, which is a full-service, top-tier podcast production agency. And on this show and on this channel, if you're watching this on YouTube, we talk all about podcasting. And every single week, we create different podcast episodes all about the world of podcasting, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, the tech we should use, the tech we shouldn't use, how to incorporate video, how to not, and so on. I was inspired today after a series of calls. I've had back-to-back calls all day today, and I was inspired to record this episode because I literally just want to have a conversation about why do we put so many rules and so many conditions around what our show needs to look like. People always say we need to have video, you need to have the best tech, you need to have the best audio, everything needs to be perfect, it needs to be polished, it needs to be amazing. And while I don't disagree with that, and I do think there's absolutely a place for quality, where I struggle is all of these shoulds that people think you should do in order to have a successful podcast. So part of the conversation that I want to have today is mostly or more a permission slip for you that you don't actually have to have all of these things in place in order to have fun with your show. I think a thing that we miss out a lot on when it comes to the world of podcasting is that it needs to look a specific way. But the truth is, behind the podcast that we've created, behind the show that we have, behind the message that we deliver is creativity, purpose, and tapping into a bigger why. So one of the things that I do with all of my podcast launch clients and also the clients that we onboard that already have existing shows, I always make sure that they have a strong why and that they have a reason for doing their podcast. This is something that is really, really, really important to me as a person and to us as an agency, and also is something that's important to our clients as well. Because when you don't have a solid or a strong why behind what you're doing, you're going to find it very, very difficult to show up every single day. You're going to find it very difficult to produce content that you actually don't feel inspired by. And so as I was sitting and I'm thinking, what should I record for this week to be released? I'm like, maybe I should do more about video. Maybe I should do more about tech. Maybe I should do more about this. But what if the conversation literally is just things that you don't need to do? Removing all of the shoulds, removing the expectations that we put on ourselves and that we have about ourselves, and just create content that we enjoy. Now, of course, there's always going to be best practices. There's always going to be strategies that work really well. There's always going to be marketing things and ways to enhance your video production, ways to enhance your audio, editing tips and tricks, softwares to use, and all of that. And that stuff is really great, and there's absolutely a place for it, and I think it's important to educate yourself and know and understand how that tech works for you, okay? And how those editing styles work for you, and why video can be so important. The thing is, though, when we get stuck in these bigger shoulds, we lose sight of what we're trying to create. We lose sight of the message that we have to share, how it becomes an extension of your business, and ultimately how it starts to impact different people that your show touches. So the work that we do here, and this is a reminder for you as well, like if you're creating your podcast as an extension of your business or a way to generate leads into your business, to fill your funnel, to share your message and all of that, it's great. Like that's amazing. I think it's awesome. And also it's so easy to lose sight of the fact of why you're creating your show to begin with. So this is such a simple and such a short thought for you today. I don't even want to run on this thought on and on and on, because I think really at the end of the day, we have all of these things that people say we should do. And my thought for you today is you should do what feels best for you while using the tools and the strategies and the techniques that you have, using them cohesively with the content that you want to create so that your message can continue to shake up and inspire the people that it touches. The thing is, though, It's okay to start small. It's okay to start right at the beginning. It's okay to start audio only. It's okay to not have video. And if you do have video, it's okay to not have a massive camera and studio and all of the lights and all of that. It's okay. It's okay to start simply with what you have and to follow your passion and to follow your creativity and ultimately to create what you want. People talk a lot about, oh, I want to be quote unquote the next Joe Rogan, or I want to be the next Call Her Daddy, or I want to be the next Diary of a CEO, or I want to be this and that, whatever. First of all, those people have gotten to where they are out of trying, out of being consistent, and out of putting things out there even if they didn't land. The purpose is to create the content and to just start. When we're so hung up on perfection and when we're so hung up on what things are going to look like, or my camera isn't nice enough, or my mic isn't good enough, or I didn't follow my script to a T, or I went off script, and so on, so on. When we follow all of that, we miss out on the creator journey. And ultimately, having a podcast is a creative process. So why is it that we always forget to be creative in our creation process? Why do we put so many conditions around something that is supposed to light us up in a different way? Why do we put conditions around that? Why are we putting conditions around you must have this microphone or this camera or no one's going to watch your podcast episodes? When I was doing Happiness Happens more full on, that's my other podcast and it's been on hiatus since like last May or something like that. When I was doing that show, none of it was perfect. Even like my camera was grainy. But do you think that people cared? No, because people want the message first. Now, of course, as time goes on and as you continue to create episodes and you continue to get exposure and your audience continues to grow, you get more noticed. People know, your show by name, and people really do tune in and subscribe and follow along and they want to hear more, right? That is absolutely a fact. And with that comes the ability to now continue to upgrade, to level up, whatever that level up looks like for you. So stop judging or comparing your show against somebody else's who's on like 5,000 episodes, okay? It's not a thing that needs to happen, and it can be really challenging because I know that you want to get to that spot. Everyone wants to get to that spot, but that spot comes with consistency, repetition, and believing in your message and believing in what you are showing up to do every single week on the mic. Stop overcomplicating it. Do not make it more chaotic than it needs to be, and just have fun. Life is so serious all the time. I just want you to have fun with what you're doing and what you're creating. So this is a little love note from me today as your podcast producer friend, agency owner, whatever you want to call it, reminding you that you get to have fun with what you are creating and you deserve to enjoy the journey just as much as you enjoy everything else. So thank you for popping into this episode today. Tell me what you think of this conversation. Send me a message on Instagram. Comment on Spotify if you're listening there or watching there. Comment on YouTube if this is where you're watching. Hello, it's nice to see your face. And I will see you next week for probably a more technical conversation. But that's it from me today, and I will see you on the next episode.